Welcome back to CEO Money. It's Ed Baxter sitting in for Michael Yorba and getting back to a couple of guys we met at the Bitcoin Ethereum Super Conference that just blew our minds. They've decided to join us today. We have instituted the Hall of Fame broadcaster himself, Gary Leland, and Tony Sekela. Hopefully I didn't butcher his name too much. The Crypto Cousins, Bitcoin for Beginners. Welcome to the show, guys.
Oh, it's excellent to be here. Excellent to be here. Thanks for having us.
Hello. Thanks for having us, Ed. You did pretty good. It's Sekela.
Well, actually, I tend to butcher names. I tell people I'm from East Texas, and sometimes I kind of mess things up a little bit, but it is what it is. But tell me a little bit about the Crypto Cousins, how you guys got it started, what do you expect to do with it, and what's important about Bitcoin for beginners? We'll let you go first, Gary.
Well, we started the show back in September. I've been podcasting since 2004. It's probably one of the first 50 podcasters on the planet. And Tony is a good friend of mine I've known for years in the tech world. And we ran into each other at an event. We started talking Bitcoin. We started talking, one thing led to another. Next thing I know, we decided to get together and basically form a company all around cryptocurrency. We use the podcast, the Crypto Cousins podcast, to teach, educate, help people learn this world because it's a wild, wacky, crazy world. But, as we're learning, because we're learning all the time, we're sharing what we learn with people. Wouldn't you say that's it, Tony? We're just sharing what we learn with people? That's our deal?
Exactly. What I like to say is we get our hands dirty.
I see.
So we're going in there, we're learning, and we're sharing as we're learning. And so our listeners really can start with podcast number 1 and go learn what is Bitcoin and then move all the way up to we actually talked about mining in the last.
And we're mining. So we're doing it and talking about it, not just talking about it.
Well, you're not only mining, you're actually helping other people mine too. But when you think about where you started and where you are right now, what would you say is the most important thing you guys have learned about Bitcoin and about cryptocurrency since that process started?
Well, I would say it's like, don't panic. I remember the first time that Bitcoin dropped like a rocket. Oh my gosh, I was sweating. I called Tony. I called another friend of mine. Oh, have I lost all my money? Now it was down $1,000 a day, and I'm like, oh well, whatever, So I've learned to stay calm during the drops. That's the number one thing I've learned.
What about you, Tony?
The number one thing, I guess, would be that everything is changing very rapidly. So don't get too set in what today's environment is about. Everything's changing in crypto on a minute-to-minute basis, actually.
You guys have made it, statements, where you indicated that Bitcoin was probably the most important and probably the least ability to be regulated of the cryptos that are out there. Kind of expand on that for us, if you would, Gary.
Well, I'll let Tony take this because this is more up his alley.
So the idea behind cryptocurrencies is that they're decentralized. So to bring in another example, remember when we had uploading of MP3s and the media industry, the Napster days. And so you can shut down a Napster, you can shut down a single point source, but you can't shut down something like a decentralized network. So because of that, Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies they cannot be governed by any single government or any single regulator. So
wait, hold on. You said no government, no regulator can control Bitcoin. Is that something you think would scare a few governments in the world?
Absolutely.
Think it scare them just a little bit, get a little bit more disruptive than they might want to take?
It could scare a government if it wants to control people and doesn't want to give people some software. It's just software. So when you look at it that way, if a government is about private rights, about individual citizens being able to communicate with each other, then of course they would be for it.
One thing we said in the show here is that we felt like that resistance was futile when it comes to the digital world. If you think about the fact that the technology continues like we saw in 2000, we had good companies, we had good tech. Some companies went bad, but the tech existed or continued to exist. What do you see as the future for Bitcoin and other cryptos going forward? I'll let either one of you take that one.
Well, I think a lot of cryptos are going to disappear. I mean, let's face it, there's 1,500 of them now, and how many are coming out every day? So this is the wild, wild west is what I like to call it. But a lot of cryptos are going to disappear. But I truly believe if you've looked at the crypto you're investing in, you've studied it, and you've bought it for a reason that you think is a legit problem it solves, it probably is still going to be around. That's my thoughts on it.
And you, Tony?
I think we're still in the Wild West days. We haven't had our Lotus 123 moment. We haven't had our Netscape Navigator moment. So there still isn't a killer app. The average person's buying and holding as a speculative move, but we haven't seen the day-to-day usage of crypto, and that's going to take a little time as people develop the user interface.
It's kind of like when the internet was out, but as Tony said, there was no Netscape. How many people were on the internet doing things? Only the very techie. But when Netscape came out, bam, it took off, and here we are today.
All of a sudden, you had the ability to actually search it and use a browser to do so with Netscape. Obviously, Microsoft wasn't particularly happy about that at the time, but that's a different day, different story. When you think about the Crypto Cousins, first of all, that's a really unique name in itself.
Thank you.
When you think about what you guys are trying to accomplish, what do you want listeners to gain from listening to your podcast on a regular basis, which is available on iHeartRadio, by the way? What do you want them to get out of it?
I want people to learn what's going on and be able to make decisions for themselves. We don't give advice on what to buy. We don't do pricing. We are more into the technology and explaining what people are getting into when they get onto this, when they get into this. We're more educated, nothing to do with pricing. We're not like, buy this coin, this is a great price. We're more into the tech.
I'd have to agree. The most important thing is to keep people from making really big mistakes. So people will talk to me and say, oh, I just got into this or that coin, or somebody told me about this or that thing. And we say, take a step back, learn first, discover what is the important technology behind this before you jump in, because the loudest and the best marketers in the space are, unfortunately, often the scammy ones.
Probably like crypto kitties to a certain point there. I think that one thing that's interesting here, and I guess it's a question for both of you, for those people who are new to the Bitcoin and the crypto world, what should they fear most?
What should they fear most?
Yes.
Losing money. They're losing their crypto. We hear it all the time. There was a horrible story. Someone had $80,000 worth of crypto on his iPhone.
Smart.
And it was gone one morning. He couldn't find it, didn't know how it happened. So you have to understand how to secure your money right away before you start putting it into the wrong kind of wallet.
We do a monthly meetup, one in Dallas, one in Fort Worth, at cryptocousins.com/meetup. And the last two meetups, that's been the number one question people have asked: how do I set up my wallet so I have my money secured? And that's the most important thing you really need to know if you're investing, is how to keep your money. There are a lot of people who want your money. Let's face it, dude.
This is true.
That's what happens.
A lot of people do want your money. Well, guys, we're about out of time here. One, I want to thank you for joining me again, because obviously we had fun at the conference, and you guys do incredible work. For those of you out there looking for a way to get into Bitcoin at the beginning, check out Crypto Cousins podcast, the Hall of Famers. First, I want to thank you again for joining us here at CEO Money. Again, I'm Ed Baxter, sitting in for Michael Yorba. This segment was brought to you by Tycon Partners, our title sponsor. We'll be back tomorrow with more great content.